What's up, watch enthusiasts? Skylar Santana here. Let's talk watches. So let's talk about Swatch and their new release of the Ocean of Storms. I talked about it with the community in one of my platforms, and I just wanted to get a gist of how they felt about it, whether or not that they were going to acquire it. I mean, listen, first impressions, it looks amazing because it's black, and a lot of the community said that, well, I think the reason why everybody is really excited about it and the reason why it looks so good is because it looks almost like a black PVD coated, you know, Blancpain, like an actual Blancpain watch. And that black muted look is something that a lot of people can really want and, match up to whatever they have going on in their collection. So I think that the overall gist of how they felt, just to sum it up, is it looks amazing. It looks cool. But I'm not going to buy it. And there were several reasons for that. The cost is the biggest thing. And a lot of these things are going to relate towards the releases prior. The only changing factor was the actual look of it. It was something that, again, a lot of people did like and could get excited about. But I think that excitement quickly died off for a lot of enthusiasts when they say, well, the cost is still not matching the value, right? You're getting a System 51 that you can't service. It's still bioceramic, so it's still plastic at the end of the day. And so even though I really like the look of it, I can't justify the spending and to acquire this piece, even if they didn't get one of the other colors or the other releases prior and them liking this one more than the others. Um, I think at this point, Swatch is not targeting us real, true core enthusiasts. And I say that lightly because I don't want to disparage those who are into it and those who really do like it. I think that if you can justify the spend or it is worth it for you to get it and you are an enthusiast, absolutely, I 100% support you going by the watch. I think that long term or overall blanket of feel for an enthusiast who's looking at his collection. You just had the end of 2023. A lot of people are putting their state of collections. A lot of people are downsizing, changing their direction, looking at what they already have and how they want to continue their collection, whether they want to acquire specific pieces, they want to stop buying at this point just to hold off, or if they just want to sell off some pieces to downsize. And I think that that has to go hand in hand with how it affects and impacting the purchase of the enthusiast for this release, right? If you're in a state of mind of downsizing, or if you're in a state of mind of reflecting on your collection and the choices that you've made and where you want to go with it, I don't think you're going to want to add something like this to your collection at this point, unless you're truly really excited about the look, the color, the design. I believe they changed the designs on the back of them and then the front of them a little bit. So if this didn't speak to you in volumes, I think overall the community's not going to go for it. Some, I would say, that didn't initially have any interest in putting this piece into their collection are tempted by it. But I think that temptation is going to stop right at the $400 cost mark. You have that, and you have the combination of needing to be in person to buy this watch. I mean, I had a lot of reactions on my post stating that I'd love to acquire this watch. Could even justify parting ways for the funds of this watch. However, I'm not close to a Swatch store. Therefore, I'm not going to go out, take a plane or go for a long road trip or whatever the case may be and go out of my way to stand in line to maybe get this watch, right? Because every location's limited. I think by now we know how the releases are going. I know that they've been trying to improve on those releases as far as their structure in store to store, but ultimately there's no guarantee. And then you also have the scalpers that are going to get online and they're just strictly buying this watch to resell it. In fact, we know this because there's already, listings of this watch at astronomical prices. The watch costs $400. Some people have it at $1,700, $2,000, and everywhere in between. So that's a lot. That's off-putting for somebody who genuinely wants to buy this watch, but is restricted to the limitation of being able to go in person and buy it. That was a very strong point that the community had made. Another one was, you know, the price point. Just to go back to that, I think Swatch would do a lot better if the price point was at $150. I mean, listen, if they put this watch at $150, right, $200 even, I would say $200 stretch. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a mechanical watch. It's not serviceable, but at least you're getting that mechanical feel. And maybe as a collector, you'll say, I'll figure something down the road when the movement doesn't work. Maybe I'll do a total movement swap, whatever the case may be, right? If that's possible, if they figure that out. The price point, it can't be justified to a lot of people. And that's been the biggest, foothold for that. So now if they put this watch at $150 to $200, I mean, I'm talking perfect world here, right? If they did that and they put it online, I don't think that they could keep up with the manufacturing end, but they would at least sell these things unlimitedly. I think that they would be a lot more successful in selling this watch, whether it be they need to do a recovery in manufacturing and getting more product out and getting more product made. Maybe there's a wait list and you'll be pending for your shipment of your order, but at least they would reach a broader scope of people. And I'm all for getting a watch on a wrist, whether it be a plastic, non-serviceable watch that, you could night and day take it apart and not justify being able to acquire it if the price was right. I can't be against something that puts watches on people's wrist. Uh, that's just my personal opinion. I'm not against any watch, whether it be a smartwatch, this Bioceramic, anything along the lines that, a lot of people dig up and they kind of make the argument. I'm all for just growing the community and growing the infatuation. And some people need an Apple Watch. Some people need an Invicta. A lot of Invicta gets a lot of heat, and I own 6 of them. Right? I don't have any discrimination over any watch. I try to own the watch to really get the feel for it and really understand, okay, I know this watch gets a lot of heat, but let me acquire it. Maybe I'll borrow it, maybe I'll buy it, whatever the case may be. I like to have my own personal take on it, my own experience with it, before I can just knock it off myself and say, well, there's a bunch of people in this community that don't like it, they're not for it, so it must not be good, and that's that. So that's just my personal take on it, and that's how I feel as far as, where that can go in the conversation of watches that are not accepted overall. But going back to the Bioceramic, yeah, I just feel like if they were to do those two things, and again, we're talking perfect world, they would sell a hell of a lot more watches. Now, I think what Swatch is trying to do, what they're trying to emulate, is more of a Rolex, supply and demand. You got to come to the store to get this. Maybe we have it, maybe we don't. It's going to sell out in about 5 minutes flat of the store receiving their shipment. And that creates this kind of hype. But where I think they fall short and what they don't foresee, what they didn't account for, is that people are going to move on from this watch. They're attracting a lot of people outside of watch enthusiasts in the watch community, like the real nerds that are in it. They're just kind of turning them off with the things that I just talked about. And those are the people that they have the attention span, or they have the willingness to wait for a watch for 6 months, a year, to get on a wait list or to get a pending order, whatever the case may be. And they're kind of stepping away from them. And I would imagine that this watch is not manufactured for them at this point, right? That's just my overall feel of the way that they've taken the direction of it. And they're not going to get the results they want long term by trying to create the supply and demand for a watch that can't hold its weight to do such a thing. And I think that's the biggest problem with the release. That's why I think what the biggest problem is overall with the watch. There's just a big disconnect there, and I hope down the road they're able to fix this, because again, I'm all for putting a watch on somebody's wrist, whether it be any kind of caliber. So I I went to the Swatch store myself in Manhattan. I was all for it. Like I want to be clear, right? Um, I wanted to acquire one of them myself. Mission to Pluto was the one I had my eyes on, or I think the one that's blue is Neptune. I either wanted either or. I think that the Mission to Pluto was a little bit nicer, and I set out to go out to the city one day with my wife. I said, "Hey, listen, I want to go down there. I want to see if they have this in stock. I want to take my chance." And when I got down there, it wasn't a bad experience at all. I was by no means anywhere near the release date. We're talking about the original Mission to Pluto that was released. But this was several months after all the hype had died down. I mean, they still couldn't keep it in stock. And I know so because I went to Grand Seiko shortly after that, and I had a talk with a great gentleman there. Grand Seiko's a phenomenal watchmaker, phenomenal ads. They really take the time to sit with you and talk with you. But through my conversation with him, he saw my Swatch box and he said, "Hey, what'd you pick up over there?" And I said, "Well, I picked up the Mission to Pluto." And his eyes lit up. He said, "Oh my God, I've been trying to get it myself. I work down in the city. I still haven't been able to get it. How did you get it?" I said, "Well, to be honest with you, when I asked him how was this in stock, I heard that it does go out of stock very quickly." He told me he just received the shipment 15 minutes prior from me walking in. So it was really just absolute and complete luck. So, you know, now with that story, had I gone to that Swatch store and they didn't have it in stock, would I have gone back and tried another day? The answer is no. Um, I wouldn't have gone out of my way to try and do it and try and get it. I mean, there's more to the story there. Uh, I received a gift of a Swatch watch, which ended up being a fake. Um, and I wanted to just bring it down to the Swatch store just to see, is it a fake? Is it not? The images online were hard for me to compare. The color was off, but in some light tones, it matched other posts of it. So I wasn't on the fence, and I'm really strictly against wearing any fake watches. Homage watches are one thing, but that's something for another video. But fake watches is just something I'm not into, wearing at all. So I wanted to verify that. So at the same time, obviously, if they had this in stock, I was very interested in purchasing it if, in fact, my watch was fake. And unfortunately, I still remember the gentleman's name. His name was Malachi in the city. Great guy. Shout out to him. Just an absolute gentleman. Great customer service. He gave me that look, right? He gave me like, man. Like he saw the box and already it was subtle differences between the box, but he was like, "Yeah, man." And he's like, "This is a decent fake, but it's a fake nonetheless." He's like, "Matter of fact, I have the watch in the back. Let me show you." I said, "What?" I said, "You have the watch in the back?" I said, "Is it a display watch? Is it just like non-running? And it's just for he's like, "No, we just received the shipment." And I was like, "Oh my God." I said, "Yeah, show me the watch." I said, "Let's compare it." And then ring me up. So I was excited, and there is something to speak towards that excitement of making it maybe in an event with your friends and going down and trying to get online and stuff like that. If you're into that thing, I think most people, they have a job, they have their priorities, they have things that they have to do and be responsible for. So it's off-putting to be forced, to maybe walk into a Swatch and be lucky enough for them to have just received their shipment and acquire the watch. And I just so happened to be lucky in that accord. I should have maybe picked up more than one, but I didn't. But I felt like one was enough. Let me enjoy it. And for what it is, I really enjoy my Swatch watch. The Mission to Pluto, again, is the one that I got. It's a fun watch. If you want my take on it altogether, listen, it is what it is. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to put that watch on knowing I'm about to go and play a football game or play basketball or any kind of contact sport or have any kind of vigorous day where that chance of bumping the watch hard enough because it's bioceramic it's not going to hold up. And even if the case doesn't break, the movement doesn't feel that sturdy, to be honest, either, right? These things are mass produced and they're trying to, keep up with a hype, which they do have for people who are not 100% enthusiasts. Not the case all the time. But again, I think it's more attracting people who don't really know too much about watches and are just looking for something that's like something that's fun. And that's not the case for every enthusiast. I myself, as a collector, uh, made it my mission to go down to the city to try and acquire one. So it's obviously not the case. But those are my hot takes on this new release from them. That's what I think. That's what I feel the community is looking at it as. And that's what I think that the community feels about it overall. Comment down below what you guys think about it. Is it for you? Have you gotten one in the past? Are you planning to get this one? And let's have a discussion. Subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.